Ronnie Fleming, everybody, guys. Give it up for Ronnie Fleming!
Oh, what's up, everybody? How you doing tonight? Good to see you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming out. This is very nice. This means a lot. I really appreciate it. It's good to be out. You know, I think we can probably all agree that it's been a pretty average couple of years, right? Right down the center of the plate, just real paint by numbers, Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to go back in time and tell myself all this taking place. Okay, get this. So Donald Trump became the president, okay? There was a worldwide pandemic. Bill Cosby went to jail, got out of jail. The Redskins are now the Commanders. The Queen is dead. We all hate Ellen. I'd be like, oh my God. I'm bald? You guys ever think about advice you'd give your younger self? Do you guys ever see commencement speeches and be like, what would I say to me, I think I would just tell myself to slow down, I think it's a pretty good advice, just slow down during sex. You're doing it way too fast. It's not an action movie, okay? It's a psychological thriller, right? It's not the movie Speed, it's the movie Seven, right? What's in the box? Opportunity. That's what's in the box. Speaking of which, I'm recently single gentleman. Thank you. Very supportive. Let me ask you this: what do you think is harder, breaking up with somebody or getting broken up with? What do you think is tougher?
Getting broken up with.
Why?
Surprise.
Because it's the surprise. They're not seeing it coming. I agree. The other person was planning it out the whole time, right? If anybody's been in that position, that's the worst part, right? You got to figure out, should you do it before they go to work? Should you do it after they go to work? You need like a spreadsheet and an abacus. It's kind of like you're planning a surprise party. Where the surprise is you're going to have to learn to live alone. And without the air fryer, I'm taking the air fryer, right? It's kind of like you're planning a mob hit, right? The other person's like, oh my God, we're going to my favorite restaurant? That's so nice. Wow, we're driving down this long country road. All right. Wait, why are we stopping the car? 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 I just got dumped, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. We were a COVID relationship. We met during the quarantine, we got our shots together. That was our first trip. And I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I was a little bit nervous about getting the shot because I had never gotten it before. Thank you. So into the CVS, and I asked the guy there, I'm like, hey man, you're a healthcare professional. What was it like when you got the shot, right? This guy gives me the shot, and he's like, I ain't putting that shit in my arm. I was like, what are you talking about, man? He's like, I'm not putting a foreign body in my body. So I got vaccinated by an anti-vaxxer. How'd you guys do it? I was like, dude, how'd you get this job? He was like, Indeed.com. I was like, the online job website? He was like, Indeed. Getting vaccinated by an anti-vaxxer, it's kind of like you're about to jump out of a plane, and you ask your instructor, hey man, you've done a few of these before, right? And he's like, are you crazy? I have a family. This is part of the joke where I say the Queen got COVID. She was totally fine, but she fucking died. I'm still gonna fucking do it. Who gives a shit, all right? Yeah. She's not gonna ruin my good time, all right? The Queen got COVID. Remember that, guys? Yeah, totally fine. My friends are like, see, that's an argument for the vaccine. I'm like, no, that's an argument for inbreeding. All right, we'll cut that last part out. But post-breakup, I've been doing okay. I've gotten some decent advice. This guy followed me after a show. He was like, hey, funny man. You know how you get over a breakup? Pussy. I don't know why he called me that, but hoping for some advice, I don't know. It was kind of sad. Like if I'm also like trying to like honor the relationship. Like we were in love. Like I was, we were like thinking about the future. Like we were trying, and she wanted a boy, I wanted a girl, and that's the thing. It's just like always been my dream to have a threesome, and that dream is dead. That's the thing. I'm in my 30s now. I'm either having a kid or I'm having a threesome. It's just. I guess I'm just looking for another mouth to feed. Thank you so much. But I went through like a little bit of I was depressed, it's pretty normal, nothing to be concerned about. It wasn't like clinical depression or anything. Because when you have clinical depression, you can afford a doctor, It's depression, you just gotta Google that shit, right? I used to have a therapist. That was a nice thing, Having a therapist was nice. So I used to be in this terrible relationship, like in my early 20s, right? Yelling on the streets, waking up all the neighbors. Every time we'd argue, she'd be like, "You need to go to therapy. You need to go to therapy." So one day I came home. I was like, "Babe, I took your advice. Went to therapy. Had a breakthrough. We need to break up." She started breaking things. I was breakdancing. I was pretty happy. Yeah. Breaking Bad was on to give it some context, Spring Breakers 2012. It's nice having a therapist. It was nice, It's got me some issues, though, with, like, past relationships. Like, my most recent ex, I told her that I found my therapist attractive. And she was like, "Why would you tell me that?" I was like, "I don't know, babe. I can't tell her." Working on the long game here, Last time I was in New York, I did see my therapist on a dating app. And it's like, what do you do? Do you swipe left? I super liked it. We've gone on so many dates already, But I've been trying to like, get over this thing. I was watching a lot of Netflix. I was watching the Amy Winehouse documentary. I don't know if you guys saw that one. But in it, there's like home video. It's very nice. There's a home video of her and her boyfriend kind of like snuggling up together. And I was watching it as like a recently single guy, and they were smoking crack. And I was just like, I gotta get a girlfriend, But I was early on. I was talking to two different girls at one time. Pretty big for me. Two different ladies. One was 9 years older than me, and one was 9 years younger than me. The communication styles were like totally different. Like. One was on Snapchat, the other was on a rotary phone. But I think it's been okay. I was talking to my mom about it. So my mom she went through like a crazy divorce not too long ago, and she was like dating, So I was like, "Mom, dating is fun, but it's very time consuming." And she's like, "Oh, I know exactly what you mean. 1 week I had 8 dates in 7 days." I'm like, "Yeah, you and I are having a much different experience." It was crazy watching my mom date for the first time. Like one time, one of her boyfriends got drunk. This is true, and he hit on my girlfriend. And I didn't know what to do, so I got drunk and I hit on his girlfriend. That's just how we do in this family, Bill. Okay. Yeah, your turn. We're playing Yahtzee, right? My mom did get remarried. New guy. He's pretty cool. I like him a lot. But like the first time I met him, he was just like shirtless at the kitchen table. And I'm like, "Dude, all right, I get it. You're like the alpha of the house now, all right? I just want you to know something, man. I've jerked off in every single room in this place. So renovate all you want, man. You ain't getting rid of me, okay? Yeah, that's right. I'm in the pipes." Growing up, my mom was always like very inappropriate when it came to sexual stuff. Like I remember once we were all watching a movie, and one of the characters said the word sex toy. And my mom whispered to my dad, "You're my sex toy." And then my dad, he goes, "What'd you say?" My mom's like, "You're my sex toy." My dad was like, "What?" I'm just like, Dad, Mom says you're her sex toy, all right? Now, can we get back to watching this porn? when I was in the 7th grade, my mom and I won the science fair together. All right, so it was a sleep deprivation project, and she ran a bunch of tests on me on her 8 hours of sleep, and 6 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep, 2 hours of sleep, and 0 hours of sleep, and we won the blue ribbon, right? And it got me thinking, that's the cool thing about being a parent. You get to like run a bunch of experiments on your kids, right? Which is why when I'm a parent, I'm gonna have 2 sons. I'm gonna circumcise one and not the other one, and then just kind of see how they're different, you know? He's in law school. He's in rehab. You never guess who's who, right? So I used to live in New York. I live in Pittsburgh now. I've been living in Pittsburgh since January. I moved to then. You guys know hear about this January? And I've been living in New York for a while. I didn't ever thought like I was like a real New Yorker. I never felt like it until I moved to Pittsburgh and I asked someone for directions, and they were like, "Why are you yelling at me?" But I moved to New York. I moved to New York when I was 19 years old. I moved here all on my own. You know, I went through all these changes on my own. I bought a pea coat. And I started walking dogs. Like that was like the first New York job that I had. And I was so good at walking dogs that my boss, he asked me to move in with him, live in the living room, and take care of all the dogs and do the overnights and the boarding and everything. And people in my neighborhood thought I was living with my dad. And I had to explain to them, no, it's actually much weirder than that. Sometimes we have 13 dogs staying with me at one time. 13 dogs all around the house. My friends would complain about noisy roommates, and I'd be like, really? Noisy roommates? How do your roommates do in a thunderstorm, all right? They get real weird on the vacuum cleaner. I haven't slept in 3 years. I used to think all dogs go to heaven. No, I don't believe in God. I was at that job for 28 years. Sorry, 4 years. I always forget the conversion. Okay, for real. Here's how long I was at that job, all right? I was walking dogs for so long, I walked 2 generations of the same family. I see a dog and I'm like, hey, you're Baxter's kid, aren't you? I used to walk your dad. Oh, boy, did he like to shit on the carpet. Worst part about that job was the cleanup, you know, obviously. All the cigar butts and poker chips. But I love living here. Sorry. It's COVID, you're all infected. I love living here. It was great, you know. All my friends were like comedians, artists, musicians. It was amazing, you know. The thing about like those kind of like, you know, artist types is like, you know, it's not always good times, you know. Sometimes things would get really blue, really sad. And then like the humor would get like really dark. And they would always be like, you know, music's not working out, Ronnie, I'm going to die alone. Or comedy's not working out, Ronnie, I'm going to die alone. And I'm like, die alone? Be serious, man. Like, you're going to have roommates. You know? Yeah. One of us will find you, okay? And when we find you, we'll take you down, you know? We'll take that little belt off your neck, you know? Then we're going to put on that belt. We actually need that belt, so. But I would like to be rich, I guess. You know, I guess we're all, you know, be nice, maybe. Those people aren't always very happy. I heard this story, and maybe you guys have heard it too. So there was a 65-year-old billionaire. He died on the operating table getting his penis enlarged. I don't know if you heard this story. I heard this story, I'm like, how's a guy that rich not think to get a publicist, you know? Just someone to be like, you know, actually, it was a reduction. I got to think of everything, right? I'm a big football fan. I'm excited that football is back. Concussion season. All right. I love it. I like football a lot, you know. Every opening day of football, I do the same thing. I text my buddy. I go, nice sack. He's like, which game you watched? I'm like, there's a game on? So it's... But I used to play football when I was growing up, and I saw the craziest thing I've ever seen playing football. I saw a guy on my team get hit so hard that he pooped his pants. In front of everybody. Our coach didn't know what to do. He's like, I don't know, go run some laps, right? So we're all running laps, right? We're looking back. This kid's dad is there, just spraying him down with a hose. Yeah, just one of those magical father-son moments you always read about, right? The day your dad stops loving you. Growing up, we had this family dog named Christine. And all these kids would always ask me, like, why we named the dog Christine? So one day I went to the source, I went to the old man. I'm like, Dad, why we name the dog Christine? And he just kind of looked out the window and he's like, I had an ex-girlfriend named Christine. I'm like, what are you talking about, Dad? He's like, yeah, you know, she was the one that got away, and Christine will never get away. I got an electric fence installed. So. Genius. Right? I'm actually named after that guy. I'm named after my dad. His name is Ron. My name is Ron. My grandfather's name is Ron. So I think, like, if I have a son, will I name my son Ron, right? I figure I'm just going to, like, leave it up to my wife, you know, because, like, I plan to die at childbirth. So. I think it's important what you name a kid, though, you know? I think there's two kinds of Jeffs in this world. People that spell their name Geoff, and people I trust. I grew up with a kid named Guy Butts. Junior. I saw him at school. I was like, dude, your dad's an asshole. You know? But he explained to me that Guy Butts was a family name. Like, the first Guy Butts came to America, and he was a French refugee, and they changed his name. Like, when he got here, like, he wasn't Guy Butts. He was Monsieur Derriere. So... You guys all high? You all high? Weed is legal here, right? Weed is legal in New York, right? So, no? Some people say no. You guys don't know? All right, paint chips it is again. No, I just got back into weed. Technology's definitely, like, changed since I was, like, a big pot smoker in college. You know, like, everybody's vaping now, right? When I was smoking a lot of weed, we bonged, right? You guys ever sneak a bong into a movie theater? You guys ever been arrested in a movie theater? No? I used to love weed, like, in college, man. I remember, like, opening up a sock drawer and, like, finding, like, an old nug of weed, you know, getting, like, so excited. I had the same exact feeling recently when I found an old ice yacht patch. Yeah. You guys fuck with Icy Hot, huh? Like, literally, you guys fuck with it on? That's fucking crazy, all right. I mean, I take my socks off for sex, but you're peeling that patch off, you're cold, then hot dead body, right? I like to get high and go shopping. That's what I like to do. It's just like a fun activity. It takes, like, a very mundane activity and turns it into a journey of self-discovery, right? You're like, am I a cashew milk person? Can I pull off a chain? Right? Am I the most attractive person at this Marshalls? I was high at a Rite Aid, you know, and I was getting some essentials, and I got carded because one of them was alcohol. And the guy was ringing me up. He's ringing up all my stuff, and he's looking at my card, and he's like, huh, you and I have the same birthday. I'm high, and, like, I don't know how to connect with this guy, and he's just like, huh, well, do you also have hemorrhoids? So... It's hard to make friends, you know. But I am in my 30s, and I like it. I'm, like, way more comfortable now than I was, because, I don't know, I went bald at 25. And when you go bald at 25, you're 30. You know? You do a bunch of 25-year-old shit, and everyone's like, what's his superintendent doing at this orgy, right? I'm making sure I wrote the fire code, all right? But But yeah, I do travel a lot. Doing this is pretty nice. You know, people assume that like you must meet ladies on the road. Very rarely, never really happens. I was doing a show at a college though, and I got off stage and this girl touched my butt after my set, and I was so flattered. I didn't even care that she stole my wallet. But sometimes I get to perform. I did a VFW, like a veteran of foreign wars, and all these guys are like heavy drinkers. They're like really rowdy, and like the only way you get them to pay attention is by shitting on them, roasting them individually. Look at that haircut. You look stupid. Looks like your wife made the ultimate sacrifice. You look like shit, right? So I'm doing that, and the show's going well, but there's this like little old lady in the crowd, right? And I didn't want to roast her, so I was just like, and you are so fucking hot, She loved it. It was killing, right? So after the show, like, we're all hanging out, me and a bunch of jarheads, and she kept, like, buying me shots. Sort of giving me the eye. It's sort of hard to tell because of the cataracts. But I think about it, and I'm like, maybe I should have, like, made a move, Like, not just for the story, not just for my country. I just think it could have been like a really good deed. Like, say I get to heaven, and they're reading off all my sins, and like, wait a minute, Agnes in 2022? Mr. Fleming, right this way, right? I get there, Agnes is waiting for me, She did a good deed too. So I know you're a bunch of New York atheists and stuff, but I don't know how you feel. I don't know, like, what, I don't know what kind of, like, God you guys have. Maybe it's, like, a very forgiving God. Mine is very passive-aggressive, I was hiking, and I got lost, and I prayed. And I haven't prayed in a very, very, very long time, but I prayed. And I was like, hey, God, it's me, Ronnie. I could really use your help, And God said to me, Ronnie Fleming doesn't really ring a bell, actually. Wait a minute, there was a Ronnie Fleming who used to go to Sunday school a lot, and then he did mushrooms with his friend Dan in the basement, and he said, quote, we got the transcript? Oh yeah, I don't need you anymore. I am God, huh? Find your own fucking way home, all right? On that trip, I did also pray to my grandfather who had just passed, and he was like, you're calling me now? So, but I made it. So I used to do, lots of shit before this, But when I was in college, I went on this road trip with my friends, okay? Very long road trip, and 10 days on this road trip, right? Whole time in the back of this car, I didn't masturbate once, all right? I was a little pent up, right? I was levitating. So we go to this strip club in Las Vegas, right? Only time I'd ever been to a strip club. And this stripper came over to me, and she sat on my lap, and it was over, which was really embarrassing, but it saved me a ton of money. I mean, and luckily my dad was there to just spray me down with a hose. You guys have been a lot of fun. I'm gonna do something a little different. I know that this is kind of like my special day or whatever, but. I don't know, like, I thought it'd be nice to kind of, like, give the time back, like, give a little bit of time to someone who I think really deserves it. This next performer, I'm going to give him, like, 5-6 minutes. He's a fantastic dude, though. He's kind of a legend. This guy, he's known by several names. He's the funny man of Florida, the jester of Jamaica, the comedy king of the Caribbean. He's the official comedian of the 3-day weekend. Guys, get excited. Get those claps going, everybody, for Chase Freely! How you motherfuckers doing tonight, huh? When I say Chase, you say freely. Chase! Freely. Chase! Freely. When I say barbecue, you say sauce. Barbecue! Sauce. Barbecue! Sauce. When I say I have an alibi, you say you're with me January 6th. I was nowhere near the Capitol. How y'all doing? You guys having a good COVID, huh? Yeah, hola, konnichiwa, Omicron. All right. Oh, yeah. People are always like, Chase, you get the Pfizer? And I'm like, yeah, 5 or 6 shots of tequila. They're like, no, Chase, you get your second dose? And I'm like, yeah, my second dose, seconds of the night. Clap your hands if you're in a relationship tonight, huh? Oh, very cool, you guys. I'm a happily married man, you know. People are always like, Chase, what's the hardest part of marriage? And I'm like, that's easy, the emotional intimacy. I'm just kidding. It's my wife's cooking PU. Oh, yeah. Sometimes me and my wife, we have some of these classic miscommunications, you know? Like just the other day, she came out of the shower. I was like, baby, you need to get yourself a Brazilian. Next thing I know, she's in bed with my tennis instructor, Miguel. Then we got to have that makeup sex. You all know about that makeup sex, right? It's where you dress up like ICP and just get after it, right? Clap your hands if you got some kids. All right. Clap your hands if you know some kids. I can't stand these kids of mine. I got 4 sons and a DUI. A daughter under investigation for arson. Lock her up. My kids, they're all these millennials, you know, and you can't spell millennial without me, right? These millennials, they're always on their phone, right? But yet they refuse to answer the call to serve the Lord, right? Yeah, too busy sexing with the devil, right? That's what I call my ex-wife. She's unfaithful and I hate her, right? Lock her up, right? You guys look confused. It's still me under here. All right. I can't stand these kids of mine, all right? Oh, these kids of mine, they're the worst in the world, man. One of my sons, man, he thinks he's all that because he's into coding. I'm like, big deal. I'm into codeine, all right? Tomato, all right? Yeah, this kid of mine, recently I called him up on the phone. Greatest prank ever. Called him up on the phone. I was like, I love you, son. I wish I could have seen his face, right? But it's been a good time, you know, being a good dad like I am, you know. Recently, my youngest, he said his first words to me, right? They weren't litigated by a lawyer. He's like, Dad, you're not supposed to be this close to me, right? But I'm 59 years old, you guys. I don't look great for my age. I'm 59 years old, right? People are always like, Chase, you're in such fantastic shape. You got an eating disorder? And I'm like, yeah, eating disorder of ribs. Then thrown up in the bathroom. Here's all you got to do to stay in shape, the Chase Freely method, all right? Here's all you got to do, all right? You got to run, you got to do dips, and you got to do sit-ups. That's all you got to do, all right? Every day I run from my past, right? I dip into my kids' college fund, right? And I sit up late at night wondering where things went wrong. People are always like, Chase, what's your favorite dessert? I'm like, that's easy. The time I deserted my first wife, right? Lock her up. But I'm doing very well. I'm very successful. I'm giving a lot of money to charity. She's a stripper who's blackmailing me. And, y'all can't see behind these shades. I'm crying. But I'm a very successful comedian, you know. A lot of my friends are all these very poor people. They're always just like, Chase, what's the difference between a boat and a yacht, right? And I tell them, any boat can become a yacht the first time you do cocaine off of it, right? I could be paddling around and someone's like, hey, Chase, that's a nice canoe. I think you mean a yacht. Some nights I am a yacht. I'm doing pretty good, you know. Recently, my son, he called me up on the phone. He's like, Daddy, you are the GOAT. I'm like, that's fantastic, an acronym, the greatest of all time. He's like, no, the genesis of all my anxiety and trauma. Like, hey, Peter Gabriel's still pretty cool. So, but yeah, people are always like, Chase, are you dyslexic? I'm like, how can I be dyslexic when I'm driving Dyslexis, right? I've been Chase Freely. Thanks so much, everybody. I've been Chase. Wow, one more time for Chase Freely, everybody. Wow. Comedy legend, you guys. Make sure to pick up his album, Life's a Beach and I'm Fucking It. Buy the Chase Freely merchandise, the Chase P. Freely's. It's a catheter system that he created. And pick up the Chase brand porno. It's a 90-minute film. He plays all the characters. It's loosely based on The Nutty Professor, and actually was directed by Noah Baumbach, which is pretty cool. This has been a lot of fun. Like, thanks again, everybody, for being here. This is really nice, Yeah, thank you. Very cool. I don't know if you guys feel like last few years, like it felt like a little bit violent, at least on their phones. It felt like there was a lot of fights and stuff that were going on. And I remember I was like driving around that time, and I saw a bumper sticker that said, "If you hit me with my kids in the car, I'll kick your ass till the cops come." Like, that used to say baby on board, Like, but I had an altercation at a show this year. It was a little show, and it was Andover, Ohio. I was doing a show, and I saw this table of 3 that were talking, and I was just like, "Hey, would you guys mind keeping it down?" Like, that's all I said, right? And this guy was like, "And who the fuck are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just a comedian." He's like, No, why are you coming up to my table like that, right? And he starts to get up. I'm like, "Dude, there's no reason for you to stand. Actually, to be honest, I don't get paid enough for this. Fuck the show," right? So I walk away. I cower away, right? And this guy talks to his friends for a little bit, and then he gets up and he heads towards me. And he's like, "I just want to know, like, why the fuck you thought it was okay for you to come to my table like that?" Right? So I'm like, "Okay, in a fight, you're supposed to, like, anticipate what they're going to do next, right?" I was anticipating, like, the picture I wanted for my GoFundMe, like... So as all that's going through my mind, by the way, my insurance is in New York City, so I was like, "Oh, great, I got to get my teeth over state lines somehow." So all that's on my mind, and then I hear, "And your next comedian, Ronnie Fleming." So I'm like, "Excuse me, sir." I try to get around him. I just, like, go right under his legs. That's how big he was. And now I'm performing. This guy just, like, staring me down as I'm performing, So I'm like, there's no escape, and I just have, like, the best set of my life, I had nothing to lose, so I just had the greatest set ever. And as I'm doing this guy gets up and he walks away. So, like, I had defeated him with my comedy, So I get off stage, and I'm just like a rooster just walking around, having drinks, just, like, walking around. Not because I had a great set. I was just, like, trying to get the balls out of my body, And I was, like, right there in Andover, Ohio. I was like, this is never going to happen again. Like, I'm never going to, like, let another person intimidate me like that. And, like, it hasn't happened since. Like, it's been, I stopped going to Andover, Ohio. And so I'm walking to my car, and I think I'm safe. And then I hear footsteps behind me. And then I hear his voice. And he's like, "Are you a funny man? Know how you could ever break up? Pussy." It was that guy from the earlier joke. So I'm in my mid-30s now, trying to, like, date again, and I don't know, like, the last relationship is kind of like the best one ever, except for, like, she wanted to have, like, an open fart relationship. I don't know if you guys are at that level in your relationship. I said no. I vetoed it, And it's not like a women don't fart or women don't poop thing. I just, like, even if my best friend was, like, farting in front of me all the time, I still have a hard time, like, trying to, like, wanting to fuck him, like... I mean, I would do it, but I used to do, like, a lot of dumb things to impress women, One time I gave a woman a wristwatch at a bar. It's not even the worst part. Like, one time, actually, I did 7 pull-ups on a first date. And I don't know if she was impressed, but I was impressed. It's a lot. All right. So this wristwatch at a bar. She was this girl from my high school, right? And at the time, she was, like, just my type, And my type back then was any girl I went to high school with. That's not my type anymore. I like horoscope girls, Anybody who believes in astrology, like, that's my type, Because, like, if they believe in that, maybe they'll believe in me. So we're making out at the bar. It was a good time. Then she had to leave. She was in a band. They had to go. And I wanted to keep the moment going. So I was like, "Hey, why don't you take my watch to remember me by?" Right? Pretty cool move. Okay. What if I tell you this is a Swatch watch? Huh? Those are pretty nice. So she and I were texting back and forth for the next few weeks, and we planned to meet up around Christmas Eve. That was our plan. Christmas Eve rolls around, and she ghosts me. And my mom was like, maybe she like lost track of time. I'm like, it's impossible, Mom. She's got my watch. So I text her, true story. I go, hey, Merry Christmas. Here's my address. I'd really like that watch back. And she sent it back in the mail. True story. 6 weeks later, I get a text from her. She goes, hey, I'm playing a show at that bar. The bar we made out at. Why don't you come out and support the band? And I'm like, I'm not falling for that again. So I'm at the show. And halfway through the show, she comes up to the mic. She goes, you know, last time I was here, this guy gave me his watch. And then he asked for it back in the mail. Everybody laughed. Her bandmate's like, yeah, what kind of watch was it? She's like, I don't know, a Casio. I was like, actually, it's a Swatch watch. Those are pretty nice. Freebird, play Freebird. I ran a half marathon last year, and thank you guys, appreciate it. I trained really hard for it, like I was really happy with my time, and then an hour goes by after I finish the race, and I hear this huge applause. So I run over to see what the commotion is about, and this 88-year-old man had crossed it like it was nothing. They put a mic in his face, giving him pats on the back, talking about how inspiring it was, and I was like, inspiring? I fucking smoked that dude. It was a valiant effort, maybe, but work with those wind sprints if we're going to catch the kid, right? I used to do CrossFit. Is anybody else here in a cult? Huh? Yeah. I liked CrossFit. It was really cool. It was a kind of a cult, though. They call you fam immediately. That's how you know it's a cult. First day you get there, it's like, hey, what's your fitness goal, fam? Right? So one guy was like, I want to get so big, I can lift 300 pounds. So the other guy was like, I want to get so strong, I can squat 400 pounds. And it got to me. I was like, I want to get so jacked that nothing hurts my feelings anymore. They're all like, bro, welcome to the fam. That's why we're all here. All my CrossFit instructors were like these very like jacked, like ripped women. And my friend was like, do you find that attractive when a woman is that muscular? And I was like, all I know is they don't find me attractive yet, and that kills me. So, yeah, we'll cross that bridge when I can push that big tire over it, you know? It was like my cheers, you know? I just like going where everybody knows my body mass index. It was... But I'm not like working out that much anymore. I don't know if you guys can see, but mostly I've just been Kegeling. And I gotta be honest, you guys, I've been Kegeling the entire time I've been on stage. My urethra is jacked, all right? My urethra looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s, you know? It's ripped, it speaks Austrian, you know? Raise your hand if you think you have a stronger urethra than me. We can figure this out tonight. You? All right, man. Bring out the marbles. We'll play a little tug of war, you know. We get a few guys in here. We'll play a little Hungry Hungry Hippo, all right? Yeah, good luck getting that image out of your head, you know. Actually, I blacked out one of my teeth like Arnold Schwarzenegger once for the school play. I thought it'd be a funny prank to go on stage like that. It actually totally ruined the play. I got suspended from school. My dad, when he found out, was furious. He was like, "You do theater?" So. But I was never like the funniest kid in my school. I was actually like the second funniest kid in my school. And then right before senior superlatives, that kid got expelled. And I got it. And I always sort of felt like the Gerald Ford of my graduating class, you know? He actually got expelled for getting a blowjob. I always sort of felt like the Al Gore of my graduating class. He actually died. I always sort of felt like the Lyndon Johnson of my graduating class. Some of you guys don't know who Lyndon Johnson is. He's a pro wrestler back in the 90s. But I never like wanted to be a comedian when I was a kid, if I'm being honest, you know? I wanted to be an athlete. So growing up, I used to have a bench press in my house. And I remember one night, I asked my mom if she could spot me on the bench press. So I was doing the bench press, and I needed help. My mom, she didn't really know how to help me. So what she ended up doing is trying to get leverage, and then she ended up just sitting on my face. And I think psychologically after that, I was just like, you know what, Mom? I'm just going to try and get funny instead. You know? Have you been Keegling? She was like, welcome to the fam. And luckily, my dad was there to just spray me down with a hose. I've been Ronnie Fleming. Thank you guys so much.